something that I don't think I'll ever understand. I never have understood it before either, why people have this like deep driving need to prove others wrong or to take them down a peg. I know that it comes out of like self-consciousness and a lack of self-confidence and like all kinds of things. But I just don't understand it. Why do we take others down as opposed to building others up? Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we talk about manifestation, money, and practical guidance to creating your dream reality. My name is Amy Van Meel, and I am an experienced coach and transformation guide, obsessed with helping you get out of your own way and create a life that blows your mind each day you wake up. My goal in this podcast is to share practical manifestation, self-awareness, and growth techniques in real talk conversations. So if you're ready to massively transform your reality, your finances, your relationships, and your overall enjoyment of life, you are in the right place. I am absolutely delighted that you're here with me today, babe. Let's get into it. Hello, my love, and welcome back to the Manifesting Millions podcast. I am delighted to have you here with me today. We have a slightly different episode ready for you today. I'm going to kick it off with a little audio clip of Selma Hayek that I saw on Instagram on the account Female Alpha Club, all one word. So if you want to give them a follow, go ahead. I'm going to capture the audio for you right now.
Even if it's a mistake, it belongs to you. It's yours. Own it. Yes, I did it. Throw it back in their face and don't let them take your mistake. Your mistake, it's a valuable tool for growth and for life. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's better than to do nothing and learn nothing and not evolve. Your mistake is your greatest opportunity. And if somebody's making fun of you, because you made a mistake, don't go down because of it. If you say, so what, to their face, if you say, yes, so what, they are powerless. Yes, I messed up. Tomorrow it will be another day. Next year will be another year. It is my mistake, not yours. You have your own.
When I first heard this and watched this video, I definitely felt some emotion come up. I want to talk about mistakes from this energy that Selma is sharing today. And I think that today is a perfect day for it to come across. Now, I'm recording this well in advance of when you'll actually be hearing this, but this podcast, I believe, is going to be posting the first week of December. And December is a funny month. December is full of Christmas energy, full of that joyful, also frantic planning, also gift giving or gift preparing, right? There's lots of stuff happening in December, but December is also the month where we find ourselves very naturally reflecting back over the year. And it's very easy, and I know I've certainly done this, where we start beating ourselves up over what we didn't do or how we fucked up and why did I do it that way and how could I have done it better. And while it's good to ask questions, high value questions like, how could I have done it better? Or how could I have done this differently? I also want to be clear, if you could have done it differently, you would have done it differently. I'm going to say that again. If you could have done it differently, you would have done it differently. This is a truth that I have been really working to understand and overlay into my life. There are lots of experiences that I've had in my life that I've struggled to reconcile in terms of they felt like massive backward steps. They felt afterwards like giant fucking mistakes. And I'd spend months or years even beating myself up over why didn't I know better? But there's a lot that comes through mistakes and you don't necessarily know it's a mistake at the time that you're making it. And if you do, I just want to head that off real quick. There are times that we're like, I know this is probably going to be a mistake, but I'm going to fucking do it anyway. You will never get the same learning if you had chosen something different. You maybe were intended to have that experience or to meet that person or to do that thing or to lose that thing or whatever it looks like. I think that we demonize mistakes in a way. We try to diminish them. And there are things that people throw back in our faces. I know when I was, um, I never like really dated where like I dated a whole bunch of people. Like I had boyfriends. That was sort of my life. I never really got asked out on a date. Like that wasn't really my experience. But I had serious boyfriends. They always seemed to be around for like a year or more. Sort of on average, it was like a year, maybe 2 or 3, which is wild because like I met my now husband when I was 29. Like it's just kind of wild to think about how many this is a weird tangent, but like how many people I met or dated. But the point that I'm trying to make, and I'm going to get there, I promise, is when those relationships would end, in almost every case, I was the one who ended the relationship because I knew that something was missing. It wasn't fulfilling me. This wasn't it. That alignment wasn't there. And I would end that relationship. And after I would end that relationship, and I'm not talking like I was with this person for like a month or two. Like I was with this person and building a life with them for more than a year, right? In some cases, 2, 3, and possibly even 4 years. I think 3 was maybe the longest. And then after that relationship would end, this was more my family than it was my friends, I think, but definitely happened on both camps. They would say to me, "I knew it was a mistake. I don't know why you stayed with them. Why did you date them in the first place? It was such a mistake." And that drove me so nuts because I was like, "Why if you thought I was so wrong or if you thought this wasn't working out or if you could see something that like I apparently wasn't seeing, why didn't you say something?" When I actually then met my husband, we were long distance. We were 1,400 kilometers apart. I don't know what that is in miles, but I'm going to guess like 900 miles. We were a long way apart. And we talked over text and over the phone and over like video chat for a little while before we met in person. We met in person a few times before I ever told anybody about him. And we were already in a steady relationship before I even mentioned him to specifically my family, but even the majority of my friends. But I was at a point where I gave zero fucks what they thought because I had over and over and over had these experiences where these people who supposedly cared about me would throw these things back in my face. I remember when I was 29, I was dating a guy and we went out to the bar. It was the first time I ever got drunk. Yes, I only ever got drunk for the first time when I was 29. No, I did not grow up in a convent. Drinking never really appealed to me. It wasn't really my jam. And the guy that I was dating was like big on going to the bar, big on drinking. And so we went out to the bar one night and he's, of course, paying for everything, which is great because drinks in the bar are pricey. So, like, I couldn't afford it, which was part of why I never was big into drinking either. And I remember being drunk. And then a couple months later, after I got dumped, by now I was sort of in this vibe of like going out, being in the energy of being in the bar. And I remember my mom throwing in my face that I was someone who now went to the bar. What kind of like fucking adult are you supposed to be? I was 30 years old. Incorrect. I was 29 years old. Like at 29, you have more than every right. If you want to go out and party every night, fucking go out and party every night, right? Like it's the point is that she saw it as a mistake and she threw it in my face. I've had countless times over my life where, and maybe something did go wrong. And the worst ones, I think actually the worst is when I did something right, but I only did it one time. The first time that I had a $10,000 month, it was a huge thing and it was marked on my calendar and I told nobody about it. I think my husband knew and that was it because I learned over time to be very guarded about what I share and that very specifically overlays when it comes to like my goals and my dreams. But I had all my money like that was incoming, all my income tracked on my big year calendar that was in my office. And my dad was out to visit one time and I'm trying to work in my office and he pops in and he's like checking everything out and he's looking at my calendar and he's like, "Oh, what's this?" And he's like, "What is this? What do these numbers mean?" I'm like, "Oh, that's what I made, or that's the income that I had in that month." And he goes, "Oh, this is a really big month." I said, "Yeah." And immediately it was, "Well, why haven't you done it again? What's taking so long? Why aren't you doing this every month?" And it was so demoralizing and so deflating to me that it just took me completely out. It took all the wind out of my sails and all the joy out of that month. Instead of now being able to look at that month in my past and in like the rear view mirror going, "Oh my God, that was so amazing. I did that. I can do that again." Now it was colored very, very heavily with this, "Why didn't you do it again? What kind of failure are you?" And I know that that's not how my dad meant it. I guarantee you that's not how he meant it. But when it comes to mistakes, and this is why I really loved how Selma said it, and I wish I had a transcript of what she said so I can kind of go back to it. So I'm just going to go off memory here, but she encourages us to own it. She encourages us that if someone tries to throw it into our face, fucking throw it back at them. Go, "So what? So what? I made a mistake. What's the problem?" I don't understand. It's something that I don't think I'll ever understand. I never have understood it before either, why people have this like deep driving need to prove others wrong or to take them down a peg. I know that it comes out of like self-consciousness and a lack of self-confidence and like all kinds of things, but I just don't understand it. Why do we take others down as opposed to building others up, right? To use my $10,000 month as an example, instead of the comment being, "Well, why didn't you do this again?" Go, "Oh my God, that's so amazing. Congratulations." Like, are you working towards that again? What does that look like? That would intimate an entirely different way of communication in my family, and that's fine. But that could have changed it, as opposed to now feeling like what was once a win now felt like just another marker of failure. So we're in December. We are getting ready to close out the year. I know that at some point in probably the next 4 or 5 weeks, or many times over the next 4 or 5 weeks, you're going to be sitting and reflecting over the year. You're going to be reflecting over maybe the things that went well. I hope you remember to reflect on the things that went well, but my guess is that you're probably going to be reflecting more on the things that didn't go well, on the things that you didn't do properly, on the dreams that didn't come true for you yet, on the goals that you missed, on the stuff that you failed at, on the mistakes that you've made. And it's a really low vibe way to start the next year. Yes, some healthy self-reflection is good, of course, but beating yourself up, going back over everything with a fine-tooth comb, not helpful. When I made the decision, so I don't remember if I've shared the story, I think I have, of having to fully rebuild the engine of my car a few years ago. And it cost me a fucking fortune, especially considering what the car was worth. And afterwards, for years afterwards, I was beating myself up over a number of decisions. One of the decisions I was definitely beating myself up over and berating myself over and over and over and over again was that I didn't have the car towed to another shop to get a second opinion. I don't know if the opinion would have been any different, and it could have been worse, it could have been better, I have no idea. But I won't know because I made a decision and I took action on that decision. And in hindsight, I kept thinking that was a mistake. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but I won't ever fully know. And I also found myself beating myself up over like, well, why didn't I do this differently? And why didn't I do that differently? And why did that come that way? And on and on and on and on. And it took a long ass time for me to realize what I was doing and then begin to shift that. So I want to encourage you, I suppose. I'm going to keep this week's episode super short because it's December. You got lots of things on the go. But I want to encourage you that as you reflect and as you take stock and as you just kind of think about or ruminate over like what's transpired in the last 12 months, whether it's good or bad, that you practice some balance. So if you find yourself starting to beat yourself up over mistakes, Practice some loving kindness for yourself and remind yourself that if you could have done better, you would have done better. You were the person in that moment. You couldn't have been somebody different. You couldn't have made a different decision because you weren't a different person. If you went back in time now to that moment, you would very likely make the same decision because what you're saying is, I would like to go back in time with the knowledge I have now. But you got that knowledge now from making the decision. So if you could have done better, you would have done better. You made the best decision that you could. You took the best action that you could. You did everything in the most aligned way that you could. And it's only you looking back at it and then attributing this descriptor to it that says that wasn't enough or that was wrong. That attribution that you're putting on it is completely shading it. And we love to beat ourselves up over things that maybe didn't go the way that we wanted to. And yet when something goes way better than what we wanted it to, then of course we some of us will attribute it to luck. Well, we just got lucky, right? Which is like, listen, there's a lot of things again that has to come together, and I'm not discounting luck, but like, come on. It's more than just getting lucky. Or we over index on what we did to create that and bring that into play. There is this meeting in every moment, in every experience of who we are now and what we believe to be true and what we desire to create. And that overlays into the experience that unfolds for us in reality. So remind yourself this month in particular, and of course, anytime going forward, but if you find yourself really thinking about the mistakes, then remind yourself, if I could have done better, I would have done better. And if anybody tries to throw your mistakes back at you, first of all, they don't see you fully. They don't have the right to throw mistakes in your face. If you're listening to this podcast, I guarantee that you are a heartfelt person who wants to do the best possible because that is the kind of people who exist in my orbit. When you are spending time with family and friends in the next few weeks, pay attention to folks who might help, like, cause you to feel a certain kind of way that doesn't feel super joyful. And something I'm going to leave you with this last lesson, a lesson that I have been learning over the years, and it's a funny lesson because it seems logical, but fuck me, has it been a challenging lesson to learn, is that you don't owe anybody an explanation for anything that you do. Okay? If someone is saying to you, oh my gosh, like, why the hell did you do that? What a fucking disaster or mistake or whatever that you decided to do this or you didn't decide to do this year. What were you thinking? You owe them nothing. You made the best decision that you could with all the information and the knowledge and the insight and the wisdom that you had in that moment. And even if it didn't unfold the way you hoped or intended it to, it couldn't have been any other way. And that's okay, because now you have this even greater wealth of knowledge and wisdom and experience. And what an amazing, joyful gift that is. I hope you have enjoyed this podcast episode. I'd love it if you share it with someone if you feel so led. And of course, please leave a review of the podcast to help me get this out to more people. I wish you an amazing week ahead. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform and help me reach more like-minded people who are ready to expand their life. If you haven't yet followed me on social media, find me on Instagram for extra love and inspiration by following @AmyVanMeal or visit my website at amyvanmeal.com. I love you so much, babe, and I am damn proud of you. I am already excited to connect in the next episode. And in the meantime, believe in yourself with the confidence of a 5-year-old.